right, good evening, everyone. Good, good. Thank you all for staying with us all day. This is excellent stuff. I mean, I feel like it's good information, but also it takes a lot to stay and to continue to come back. But do you all feel like you've gotten some good information so far? Outstanding. Outstanding, outstanding. Well, my name is Shakiri Murrain, and I am the Director of Innovation Solutions right across the street at the Russell Center. Just by show of hands, how many people are familiar with the Russell Center? All right. Oh, love, 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 love. Well, consider us a resource. Today, we're going to talk about artificial intelligence, specifically on the entrepreneurship side and then on the corporate side, so that we can get some of the in-depth thoughts from these two gentlemen, but then also at the end, we'll leave some time for your questions. So I would ask that as they are answering questions, go ahead and write down your questions, so when that time comes, you have a question to ask, okay? All right, so you are in for a treat today. I'll let these gentlemen introduce themselves, but we have to my left, Mr. Guy Mills, who is the VP of Supply Chain Strategy and Technology, and we have Mr. John Exume, who is the CEO of Technologists of Color. And I'll let them go a little deeper and explain what their companies do.
Well, hello, everyone. My name is John Exume. I am President and Executive Director of an organization called Technologists of Color. Technologists of Color is it's a nonprofit workforce development group that curates events and experiences that are tech focused. So we work with a lot of Fortune 500 companies helping Black people get tech jobs. We also help Black technologists in terms of entrepreneurship as well. So we do our events at the prestigious Russell Center of Innovation, which is right down the street from Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So we do our events every single month there. I'm also a fractional CTO for an amazing app called HBCU Made. So our CEO is sitting right there next to my daughter. So I'm the fractional CTO of that. So that app is coming soon. So if you've gone to an HBCU, you'll love HBCU Made, our social app.
Excellent. My name is Guy Mills. I'm the head and vice president of supply chain strategy and technology for the Clorox company. And you may know us by our namesake Bleach, but we're a family of brands serving 100 countries, 25 operations, and $7.4 billion in revenue. Everything from fresh up cat litter to Burt's Bees to vitamins, minerals, and supplements to obviously our namesake Bleach, Pine Sol, and other consumer products. And so I'll be bringing the entrepreneurial or intrapreneurial perspective. I've spent about 30 years in industry from small companies to large company. When you think about supply chain, it's all the mechanisms to get things from the ground or the earth to provide you, the consumer, with the products you know and love. I'm also the proud parent of Emerson. I think he's here somewhere. He's my 18-year-old entrepreneur. He's had a online business buying, selling, and refurbishing technologies for about 8 years now. So,
well, let's jump in, guys. So first question, John, could you just give us the fundamentals of AI? Like, what is AI 101? What should we all know?
All right, so, that was loud. All right, so to define AI, I actually wrote down a simple definition of it. So AI is the science of making machines that can think like humans, all right? So we look at artificial intelligence, it's basically repetitive tasks. So a lot of the tasks that we're so used to doing, we are now training machines to do those tasks. So we've been exposed to AI for a long time. Everyone's been used to Alexa, Siri. My daughter who's in the front there, she talks to Alexa every single day, asking it questions about weather, traffic conditions when we're going to school and things like that. So AI, the fundamental definition is the science of making machines think like humans.
And Guy, how would you follow that up with what you see on a corporate level every day, the fundamentals of AI in a corporate environment?
We look at it with two lenses, kind of taking away the dull, the dreary, the repetitive activities, and to make them more systematic, more sustainable, and more consistent. That's everything from like computer machine vision on a factory line. It can detect quality defects, kind of auditory censoring. It can hear the bearings on production lines and see when there might be an imminent breakdown, to a recent pilot that we're using with Microsoft Copilot, using generative AI for creative aspirations. Everything from the rudimentary, help me reply to this email, to help me prepare a presentation, to, hey, help me get insights from social media on key products that may be trending, and how quickly can we get a prototype. So it's gone from just thinking like or replicating humans to actually using statistical models to create content, whether it's music, whether it's writing, whether it's art, but really that creative aspect. And that's the thing that we're pretty bullish on these days.
And just to follow that up, Guy, as you start to look into the future, and especially working for a company like Clorox, that, as you said, a $7 billion company, global competitor, when you look at the kind of competition that you see globally, how do we as the Black community not get left behind?
You know, if, I don't know if they're hitting my slides there. Yeah, I pulled a couple of things here. Just as I was thinking about my son and children, I pulled some data from Goldman Sachs, from McKinsey, that says that, hey, AI automation could really replace over 300 million jobs, 25% of all tasks in the US. 80% of the US workers may lose at least 10% of their jobs. And if we go to the next slide, I don't have the control. I love control. We are sitting in front of the slides. Interesting.
To help? So just a little bit. There you go.
You don't take artificial intelligence to get instruction, right? Let's. Am I still in the way? Yeah, I would suggest you move over this way as well.
You just talk through it.
Yeah, I'll just talk through this in the next slides as well. I come to this as a, say again, the table as well? Excellent, thank you. I got the table,
There we go. Teamwork. Right. All right.
And that's actually, I guess, a segue of coming attractions, responsiveness, and customer feedback.
That's it.
I come to AI as both a general manager, as a technician, kind of a former engineer, but mostly as a social scientist. And when I started hearing about the amount of job displacements that could potentially impact African Americans, I took a different slant on how I look at that. There was a panel discussion up at Kennesaw State last week. The first panel that had representation from women and people of color. And so part of what I'm looking to do is get the message out on what AI can do for us and its risks. It's got significant opportunities and what I call an existential threat. So what you see here is a list of the top occupations that we as African Americans are engaged in, the number and the percent. And the dark blue are the top 10 fields that could be displaced by AI. And so what we'll talk about later on is, okay, what do we do about that? How do we rely on both individual skills, corporate programs for reskilling, and other activities so that we can catch the wave? So like anything, a threat has an opportunity as well. The next slide, if we may, and I'll make these available to Munson. This one, make sure I use my child-appropriate language. This one shocked the heck out of me. What you see here is the projected wealth that's going to be created by AI by 2045. $500 billion, $500 billion. If we as a people get our index share of that, I met a guy, Len Howard, who's he works down at Georgia Southern. He's actually got his own AI company developing creative content and sales. He's practicing, experimenting with it. If we as a people get our own 13% per capita share, we can get 70 billion of wealth in the Black households. However, If we don't correct for that, that small box in the bottom left would be a widening of the racial wealth gap by $43 billion. And so it's compulsory, it's mandatory that we understand the tools, the technologies, and the capabilities out there.
Who have entrepreneurial ideas who are able to contribute to some of those numbers.
You know, that's the exciting thing I've learned from the Rice Center is that much of job growth in America is the small businesses, whether it's technology, and it's not technology for technology's sake exclusively, it's using technology to grow your business. I had a strategic planning workshop at the Rice Center, and we're looking at marketing collateral. We're looking at kind of customer segmentation. And typically, you know, I would have done that brute force. And I said, hey, let's try to use Microsoft Copilot and write for you a draft of kind of 10 vision statements, 10 strategic plans. And within minutes, we had drafts with which to work. And so I say that to say it's not technology for technology's sake exclusively. It's also using technology to accelerate growth in existing businesses underway. Now, yes, we in large corporations are going to get our fair share of it. I'm currently leading a $300 million initiative to kind of completely digitize our operations, revamp our capabilities, kind of upgrade our ways of working. But the lion's share of growth, I fully expect, will be from small businesses. And the real question is, will we get our share? In fact, you know, my son is showing me the way. I mean, I've never been a real entrepreneur. He's literally kind of run his business, kind of buying and selling and refurbishing products from all across the globe, selling them across the globe. I just tell him, hey, as long as the DEA doesn't show up at my house, we're good. Because I got stuff going to and from Colombia and Mexico and all. But it's people like that with kind of fearlessness, with creativity, with hunger, and the willingness to make mistakes and to try things that will drive this economy. And that's why I say it's both a significant opportunity and an existential risk.
Absolutely, Guy. Very well said. And, you know, as you say that, it makes me think of an article I read where they called them digital natives. It's these kids, I call them, that, you know, they may not have a master's degree from some institution, but if you give them a smartphone, they can do things that I just can't imagine. And so their ability to connect and to be in tune with the device is just different than ours. And I think that we're going to see that play out. So learning how to structure them so they know how to take advantage of these opportunities is going to be the future. But John, we've talked a lot about taking advantage of the opportunities of AI, especially around being an entrepreneur. I'm curious to know your thoughts on the challenges of being an entrepreneur in the AI space.
So some of the challenges of being an entrepreneur in the AI space, and I'll use myself as an example. So a couple of years ago, me and a group of friends, we had this really cool idea of creating this app that very similar to Instagram, but it was geared to car enthusiasts, right? And so we sat around and we poured money into a concept, and we toiled around over and over again, and we were able to get a what's called the MVP, which stands for minimal viable product, and tried to launch it, but it got so expensive for us to maintain it that we ended up killing it, right? Fast forward now 4 years after that experience and looking at the tools that are available now, it took us, 4 years ago, it took us 7 months to build that app. And then we ran out of funding within the first year, which is why we had to shut it down. But in terms of what's available now, we could have built it, had we had the foresight to just wait and build it now, A, would have cost us a lot less, and B, with the tools that are available now, we could have literally built it ourselves instead of outsourcing. So when it comes to challenges, one of the things that's out there is there are so many different AI tools. And then people get stuck in the rut of which tool is the best for what I'm trying to build. And because there are so many creators out there building apps, and you may have an idea and you're trying to find the right tools to build your thing. Sometimes you can get in what I call option overload, because there's so many options that are out there. And so that can be a barrier for you, as well as if you're not a technical person, you may have a great idea, but you're not a technical person and you don't know what might fit for the idea that you have. So it takes, did it die? Oh yeah, it did, it died. So it takes, connecting with folks who are in the tech space to try to help you and guide you. One thing that I see is that there are a lot of entrepreneurs who are out there who are doing it alone. And my advice and things that we do in our organization is best to collaborate, get together with some other like-minded people, and build solutions. Don't sit back and try to do it alone and sit back and, get lost in what I call the option train. Collaborate and partner with other folks who have the same vision as you, and that can help mediate some of the stresses in the process of building your idea.
Outstanding. And we'll shift gears just for a moment and talk about a program that we're working on. And I would love for you all to get engaged. You all, this is a federal project, part of President Joe Biden's Build Back Better plan. And here in the state of Georgia, it's called Georgia AIM. AIM stands for Artificial Intelligence in Manufacturing. And so if you want to see the website, it's Georgia, spelled all the way out, AIM.org. And you can take a look at it. And so basically, if you think about this project, Georgia Tech is the lead for the entire state. And so they're like the wheel, if you will. And then there are 9 independent projects all throughout the state of Georgia that are basically built to teach Georgians about the future of work and artificial intelligence. And so our project, John and I are working together. The Russell Center is leading this project, and our co-partner is the University of Georgia. So University of Georgia's Department of Engineering, we are building a mobile vehicle that'll go around the state of Georgia and teach Georgians about artificial intelligence. And you all, we've built all kinds of technology modules, from robotics to 3D printing to image recognition. And so what we're trying to do is connect it to something that you're already familiar with. So when we go to Savannah, we're going to be talking supply chain and logistics. When we go to Augusta, we're going to be thinking fintech. When we go to Columbus, we're going to be thinking cybersecurity, because those are the things that those places are already familiar with. And we want them to get engaged. And maybe someone who wouldn't have ordinarily gotten engaged with this kind of program, now you get a chance to come onto a vehicle and to see it. And our goal is to follow that all the way through to a technical certification and eventually a job. And so once you're on that vehicle and we can show you all the workforce opportunities that are possible, then we begin to really have a conversation about, do you like artificial intelligence or not? Because I have many conversations with kids and they tell me, well, I don't know if I can be an engineer. I don't know if I can do technology. But then again, they pick up their cell phone and they do something amazing. So I'm saying that's the skill right there that you need to know. So we just want to show them all the opportunities. The other side of it is to engage 200 manufacturers, to basically create 200 manufacturing jobs over this 4-year project. And so we're going to do workshops with manufacturing leaders where we're teaching them how to implement artificial intelligence on their production line. So you all, everything that we have on our clothes, our bodies, our clothes, hats, accessories, all the things that we can make here in Georgia, artificial intelligence really can enhance our manufacturing processes. So this is how we keep jobs right here. So I ask you all to take a look at the program. When you see events that are going on in Atlanta or in cities around Georgia that you may be familiar with, please engage, come out. Our KPIs are really about you. They're about Black people and women. So we need to teach as many people as possible how the future of work is going to be impacted from artificial intelligence. Cool. And then leading us directly into the last point. So as we look at the future of work, gentlemen, I'll start with John on this one. What do you think, John? What do you see as you see an eclipse of technology coming over what we've known our lives so far? How do you see this changing the future of work?
So I can tell you we see a lot of changes in terms of the future of work. When we saw the slide that showed a lot of the jobs that are being affected, like in terms of, and we'll use an example, cashiers. you're noticing in a lot of places, a lot of your stores, they are eliminating cashiers and are going to self-checkout, all right? I want to share a quick story. So me and my daughter last year, we went to LA and then we went out to Santa Monica on the beach. And we're laying on the beach and I'm seeing these robots, these AI robots riding up on the beach and stopping in front of people, and folks are opening them and getting food. So in Santa Monica, based on their boardwalk, they have a ton of restaurants that go all the way up and down the beach. And they actually have delivery robots where folks have an app where they're sitting on the beach. They have the app that has a list of all the restaurants that are near them. They can place an order and the robot knows, because they fence the entire beach. The robot just rides up to them and gets their order, all right? Another stream of income for these, for a lot of these restaurants. Another experience that I saw was we went to Vegas, and if you ever go to the NFL shop in Vegas, in Caesar's Palace, if you go to the NFL shop, you walk in, there's absolutely no one in the front that rings you out. And I'm standing there like confused, like I have merchandise in my hand. Do I just walk out the door with this thing? Like what happens? They have buckets that tell you drop your items in there. You just drop your items in the bucket and then it gives you a total. And I sat there and I asked the guy, well, how does it know what I put in the bucket? Because I didn't show I didn't scan anything. I just dropped the items in the bucket and it automatically gave me a total. And he explained to me that there are sensors all built inside the bucket that know the items that you drop in there, if they're on sale, or if it's regular price, and it automatically calculates, and someone then comes from the back to just put it in a bag and hand it to you. The actual store operates with 4 employees. Okay, these are the changes that we're seeing. So, with that being said, when you're seeing all this technology, there are some positives. There's also negatives, and as we see, even with your banks, you're seeing when you go to your bank, they're not 4 or 5 tellers anymore. There may be 1, or they push you to go to the automated service. All right. So as technology advances, and it's going to continue to advance, whether we like it or not, we have to be at the cusp of it. I want to share one little thing about like being an entrepreneur. So there's this. I want everyone, when you get a chance, to take a look at this website called air.ai, okay? Air.ai is, to me, one of the most revolutionary AI platforms that I've seen out there. So if you're someone in the sales business, right? Let's say you're an insurance salesman, you can deploy these AI agent robots. These AI agent assistants. And you can program them to have a 40-minute conversation with a potential client, and the voice sounds like a human. I actually played with that. I actually built a agent to do some work for me, and I didn't even tell the person on the other end that it was an agent, and they thought that they were speaking with a real human being. And you can tweak it to do all kinds of things, but it can literally hold a 40-minute conversation, and it actually remembers everything the person says. So basically, to kind of give you an example of what I did, I was selling an old computer, and I had a friend of mine. I said, hey, just call me. And I used my voice. I said, hey, just call me, and we'll do the sale. So he calls, the robot, the AI agent answers, and I'm on the other end listening to the conversation. He thinks it's me. He thinks it's me the whole time talking to him. And he says, yes, how much is the computer? And it says, well, the computer's priced at $599. Well, that's too high. And then it says, let me think on that. All right, I'll take $25 off, because I programmed it, the most to give off as a discount is $25. So he says, how about $25 off? And then my friend goes and says, well, that's not enough. And then he goes, just like me, well, that's all I could do. And so he says, all right, fine. And so he says, all right, so where do you want to meet for this delivery? And he tells him where he wants to meet. He says, all right, let me repeat it back to you. You want to meet at the Barnes & Noble in Marietta. All right, cool, great. So then I called him back and said, how did that go? He said, man, you have a hard bargain. I said, you weren't talking to me. You were talking to my agent, right? And so you can just imagine the possibilities, especially if you're in sales and you want to replicate yourself. You can literally program these tools with all the objections that you get from customers. And this tool here will remember what you've taught it and be able to handle the sale for you. So like I said, technology is changing. It's going to keep on getting better, and it's going to keep on getting more refined. So it's time for us to take advantage of it.
And over to you, Guy. What do you see coming on the corporate level for the future of work?
About a month ago, I was in the office up in Alpharetta, and one of my team members who runs environmental health and safety was looking a little concerned. And I said, hey, Helen, what's up? She goes, I'm supposed to develop training materials to roll out for some of our new sites. And something that would have taken me nearly a week to do, I did in roughly 3 hours. And she asked me, am I going to lose my job? Am I going to lose my job? Because I'm leading a generative AI co-pilot for our function, just to kind of understand how we could apply it. And she's high potential. I says, no, there's lots of inherent issues with Gen AI, whether hallucinations, whether it's kind of creating facts. It's going to require the nuanced understanding. It's going to require your ability to go out to our sites to influence people. It's going to require those higher level presence and social skills. And so as I started, I think it is going to cause a seismic shift in society, both for companies, for individual professions, and particularly for us as Black Americans. I've got a friend, he's a pilot, and he says back in the day they had a pilot, a co-pilot, a navigator. He's nearing retirement. He goes, before I retire, I believe we'll have one pilot in the seat as society gets more comfortable with the capabilities of technology. So, and I'm referring to technology or digital transformation writ large. So whether it's robotics, process automation, Gen AI, it's the convergence of these technologies along with cheaper chips, cheaper memory that's driving this transformation. And so jobs will be displaced, but also jobs will be created. And it's really finding where we fit in and developing the requisite skills. I know one of my slides, probably my last 2 slides, if we could jump to, and I want to talk about the workforce. The next one, please. Rolling, next slide. This is not a complete list, but as I talk to, scouts, children, I'm an engineer by training, but the school I went to had what they call the whole brain engineer, the soft and social skills as well. And whether you're fitting in with deep tech, so it may take away some of the manufacturing jobs, but someone's going to have to maintain the technology. Whether it takes away kind of like the customer service jobs, if someone's going to have to write the scripts for new capabilities. So what it takes away, it also adds. And so, I've been doing some research, looking at people far smarter than I and say, hey, what are some of those skills that are going to make a difference? And how do I lead and people in my forums to communicate that? And so one, obviously, is customer focus. Ultimately, whether you're in-house and corporate or an entrepreneur, you've got to be able to kind of connect with the customer, understand what she or he wants, and to influence them that you're the best person to meet their needs. That can be augmented by technology, but I doubt it's going to be replaced by technology because we buy from people we trust and like, and we buy from brands. Emotional intelligence, that's something that we engineers are not always known to be good at least that's what my wife tells me. But the ability to know oneself and know how one's personality interact with others is a great skill for influencing and for collaborating. One of the best jobs I had was a sales job because I stunk at it. I relied on expertise and technical knowledge, and my then managing director says, hey, leave all that behind. Don't do your research. Just kind of connect with that person as a person. Do you understand their needs, their context? Do you understand kind of what keeps them up at night? Do you understand kind of what their fears and concerns are? Have you created a relationship where they trust you and they're willing to reveal that? That's going to make a difference. Another thing is kind of comfort with ambiguity. As my partner mentioned, things are changing so fast. And so if you're a perfectionist and you're picking the one thing to bet on, you're going to be wrong more often than not. Is that ability to kind of flex and pivot from one thing to the next, to kind of see what the winners are, to see what the losers are, and to kind of act accordingly. Collaboration is key because no man is an island. Someone's going to have the skills or capabilities or the resources that you don't have. That's one of the kind of major benefits from the Russell Center there as well, is they bring together all types of resources, whether it's marketing, branding. There's even fractional CFOs to help you manage your books if you're not a good accountant. But net, it's kind of getting in where you fit in. Work is changing, full stop, in all different dimensions. Whether you're on the technology side and you're embracing that curve and kind of catching the things as they rise, whether you're on the entrepreneur side and you're collaborating with people who have those skills, it's finding out your mix of technical skills and social and present skills to make a difference so that we can capture some of that $70 billion in wealth that's going to be created over the next 20 years.
Okay, and with that, we'd like to open it up for questions. Any questions? Yes, ma'am. For the federal project, Georgia AIM. So Georgia, spelled all the way out, AIM.org. And AIM stands for Artificial Intelligence in Manufacturing. So GeorgiaAIM.org. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Good afternoon. I'm Sebastian Barron. We met by phone, and so you probably remember when we talked a couple of weeks ago. My main question is like a comment and a question. My role, I'm the Governor Kemp's representative for Metro Atlanta, and also do small business outreach. And it's a big story that came out of entertainment today that's affecting the state, Fulton County and the state, with Tyler Perry's announcement to halt his development for the 20 sound stages at his studio, based off of the advancement of a Soro AI technology. So with that said, I spent a lot of times with our technical colleges, R1 research institutions, and the K-12 systems in my role. I feel like currently developments in AI are moving at a faster pace than what's being taught by the STEM structure, right? So it's something that government really can't control because we react in most cases to what's going on in the private sector because the private sector has more freedom than the government does. So we've been through revolutions before in my lifetime with the internet, social media, and other things that shifted how job placement. But this, I feel like, is moving at a different pace where you have a company like Soro, and it's not a criticism because they're just looking out for the best interests of their company, getting a return on investment. But you have a company that can pop up within a few years and challenge a institution as big as an $800 million development that he's phrasing it, Tyler Perry's phrasing it as a halt, but it's really a complete freeze, like that development's not happening anymore because of that new technology. So from y'all's perspective, what can be done more education-wise in workforce development to keep pace with the rapid revolution that's going on with AI right now? Thank you.
No, thank you for that question, Sebastian. I think John should answer that first, just because technology is a color. You guys deal with education every day.
Yeah, so when it comes to education, so you are right. As things come out, it's hard to keep up. But the key thing is the fundamentals don't change. So the fundamentals of large language models, of of modeling, those things don't change. And as we continue to, so I'll use our organization, as an example. So literally about a year ago, when I started seeing, the ChatGPT wave start kicking up, I got with my team and said, we need to start as an organization informing our people of what's coming ahead. Because as, I'm sitting at home, I say, make me a meal plan for 30 days. It spits it out, right? And so when we saw, the first couple of articles of it, we made it our business to do our best to train the people that we serve, and then the other nonprofits that we work with who work with kids to also introduce them to AI technology. So the key thing is getting first the fundamentals of what it is to everyone. And as long as you understand the fundamentals, yes, it's going to keep on changing. It's going to get faster. It's going to get smarter. There's no way that we're going to catch it. The wave's going to keep on moving. But the thing is that what's important is everyone here needs to know the fundamentals. And if you know the fundamentals and, you continue to stay on track in terms of keeping up with it, you'll be able to ride the wave. But for those who are, against it or pushing away from it, it's going to come whether you want it or not. So the key thing is learning the fundamentals of what AI is, what it does, how it works. And the one thing that I want to preface for everybody here is the computer is not smarter than you. It can just get to the answer faster than you. So it's the time, right? So if you were to ask me to give you a 30-day tech plan on things to learn in tech, it might take me about an hour to put that all on paper for you. But if you give it to the computer, it'll spit it out in 30 seconds. So it's not smarter than you. You can just process the information and get to an answer quicker than you.
Guy, any thoughts there?
Really, to my colleague, it's not smarter, but it handles complexity, variety, and just volume of information that much. It can do. One of our goals at Clorox is to get to know individually 300 million consumers. There's no database, there's no kind of query that you could crunch, but with machine learning, you can get the attributes. You can serve up ads when it's cold and flu season and someone's walking into a store. You can serve up ads that hit them at their point of need so that you can influence the sale. We've got, like I said, operations in 100 countries. We've got 25 plants. There's no single monitoring system, no control tower that one person can monitor that entire supply chain. But with technology, you can have it end-to-end through your suppliers out to your customers. And so, as I mentioned before, whether it's understanding the technology, which I think everyone needs to do, whether it's using the technology to apply it to what you're doing. Like I mentioned at the Russell Center, hey, dip your toe in it. Don't expect perfection at the outset. And they say kind of, if you're not afraid to make a mistake or to be a fool at first, you're going to stick yourself in ignorance. And I point my fingers at myself because I'm a perfectionist. I've got to be comfortable making mistakes and experimenting and trying again. Use it for creating your marketing materials. Use it for creating your brands. Use it for other attributes of your business, and then develop the social skills that go along with it so that when it comes down to you or someone else who's just a technocrat, they go with your brand because they know they trust you, they trust your character, they trust kind of the fact that you've been there for them, they trust that you're using the technology for a mutually beneficial relationship versus just to make the sale.
Outstanding. We have time for one more question. Yes, ma'am. 1 second. She's going to give you a mic. I could hear you, but I just want to make sure they can.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is an amazing panel, and I think to your point over there, Tyler gonna have to come up with a new plan. That's what we're all gonna have to do. And there's just no two ways about that. What I wanted to ask you about, I'm very interested in that because I'm doing an AI certification right now. And one of the things that they're having us to do, and my name is Dr. Marilyn Johnson, Dr. MJ, I help you live the healthy way. But anyway, one of the things I'm very excited about, the bus. And so I wanted to find out about what type of people do you need for that, and how is that going to be rolled out? I would really like to be involved with that project.
Sure. I think the best way, the easiest way from here is to, and you all can look my LinkedIn up, and I'm literally the only Shakiri Murrain on the planet. So, and you can get my name from the program and just connect with me. And please let me know that you're interested in learning more about the Georgia AIM project, because I am the project lead from the Russell Center side. And so I would be able to hear what you're working on, hear how you could contribute, because really and truly, we're trying to find ways to get that last mile of delivery. We have the technology and we know that it works, but how do we get somebody on Northside Drive to know that this is going to impact your life? So if you have creative ways to help us get that last mile of delivery, please, Dr. MJ, I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Yes.
Are you saying my big head is in the way?
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. MJ. No, this is an important conversation, and I think that we're standing on the shoulders of giants. Here at Morehouse College, we've talked a lot today about the Russell Center and just seeing that we don't get here from no reason, because I realized that none of us will be having these conversations unless somebody invested in the 1960s and the 1950s. And they didn't know that they were going to be able to push through, but I would argue that innovation in the civil rights movement allows us to be innovative as we approach artificial intelligence, as we continue to invest in our community. So yes, this is about business, but it's really about community development. And so as I look to the future for the next 40 and 50 years for my kids, we have to invest. I mean, I don't think we have a chance or an option. And so now, Dr. MJ, the question is just, how do we do this most effectively? So with that, we'll conclude for the night. Thank you all so much. Thank you for taking the time to listen to us.